Hello, how are you? Breaking news. Well, do you remember this general? We've mentioned him here, and right now he's under investigation. He's the most important man when it comes to military matters. There's only Xi Jinping above him, and below is this general named Shang, the most important military man in all of China. The only one above him is Xi Jinping, that's it. Well, as I had already mentioned, he's under investigation, but I didn't know today. Could it be corruption? Could it be something here, something there? Well, now the information that's coming out is tremendous. In breaking news, it's reported that General Shang, the general closest to Xi Jinping, is being investigated for allegedly handing over parts of the secret nuclear program, to China. This information about the United States, or information about how their nuclear program is doing, was sent to the United States, according to the reports. According to what they're saying today, this so-called person is also one of the Red Princes, the son of the party's revolutionary economists. Shang had reportedly been a key figure for years in the Central Military Commission, where he was the highest-ranking commander among the generals. According to the latest sources from the Wall Street Journal, Shang formed a political clique and promoted officials through bribes, abusing his power with high-budget military acquisitions. He also leaked information about the nuclear sector to the United States. The most serious accusation is the alleged transfer of China's nuclear weapons technical information to the United States. This could represent the biggest security breach in decades, as far as is known, within China's military apparatus. Imagine what's going on inside the whole network that's moving. Because in the end, it's a pyramidal structure where the leader is the one in charge, in this case, the one who follows him. According to Jun, former director of the China National Nuclear Corporation, it was Xi Jinping who presented the evidence that was crucial against him. So this Jun, who was in charge of the National Nuclear Corporation, was the one who had the latest information on how this data was passed to this general, and then from there, passed on to the United States. That's the harshest accusation. He was the one who presented crucial evidence against this general, unleashing a political storm within the Communist Party. China has declined to comment for now. How might this impact relations with the United States? The case could drastically alter the geopolitical and military dynamic between both nations. Could there be a breakdown in relations between the United States and China? In the end, it's a confirmation, at least based on what is known from the Wall Street Journal and also from some information that has come out of China, that this is true. This leak, then, would have been specifically for the United States. The arrest of Shang already tells us about an investigation. There's talk of an arrest despite the level of strength and power that comes with being close to Xi Jinping. Not even the president's personal allies are safe when it comes to issues of corruption, but also, possibly, to a potential betrayal. Shang is linked to the rise of the former Minister of Defense, Li Xiangfu, who also, by the way, was dismissed and expelled from the party for corruption. We discussed them here in 2023. Both cases show an extensive network of favors, a network of bribes that exists at the highest levels of the Chinese military leadership. The scandal could also seriously undermine the cohesion of the Communist Party. It reveals deep divisions among these leaders. Military and official politicians who rose through the ranks alongside Shang, that is, his entire circle at the highest level of power, would have right now? Or is there an investigation underway, not only into this man, this general, but into his entire circle? They are investigating the people and all their electronic devices, including cell phones, PCs, and tablets. Not everything has been seized yet. They are tracking down the last pieces of evidence to see who is involved in this matter. Asia Society analyst Lyle Morris, analyst at the Asian Society Policy Institute, warns, He warns that Shang accumulated power outside of Xi Jinping's control, and this already represented a direct threat to Xi's leadership. This could lead to a massive reorganization of China's military apparatus. Or will there be a restructuring from the highest level? Pay attention to what's happening inside China. There's clearly an issue and a significant problem in that regard. And well, we'll be keeping an eye on that, right? Let's see what more information comes up in the next few hours, in the coming days. But yes, it really has been a surprise, truly surprising. At what level? At what level are we talking about a leak? If they've managed to leak information about the most important military figure in China, you can imagine how everything else must be leaked as well. What is it? Meanwhile, China is involved in this accusation. They are then at the same time trying to show strength with Taiwan against Japan in the Arctic, everywhere. And meanwhile, the leaders are doing business with the information they have. Watch out, that issue is really very serious. And well, later on we'll be commenting on more details as we learn more about this matter. At the end of the day, it's information that's still developing, and we'll be seeing, as far as we understand, changes. In the coming days, there will surely be more details. In the meantime, an image has surfaced that has caught the attention of the leader Victor Borja, a political prisoner over there in Venezuela who was reportedly released, according to what's being shown on social media, on Twitter, on the Global Network and other accounts, have been sharing this image. Where he arrives with his family, with what I imagine are his daughters. He arrives like this, dressed like a little bear, right? And well, it was very emotional, they say. At that moment, he takes off the mask and the whole family was super happy. Obviously, seeing that he was released from prison, of course, well, supposedly they are already releasing some other political prisoners in Venezuela. It's impossible to confirm the number. There are already organizations right now trying to confirm which and how many people have been released in this group of political prisoners, in the release of political prisoners in that country. And we will be paying close attention to the details of what may come in the coming hours on that topic as well. But at the same time, there is a new challenge from Delcy Rodríguez, once again towards Donald Trump. Listen to the following. Rodríguez challenges President Trump again. According to what Alberto News and other stories on social media have been showing, the following comment, let's listen to Elsie.
That's important that we open up spaces for democratic divergence, but that it be politics with a capital P and a capital B. From Venezuela, enough of Washington's orders about politicians in Venezuela. Let Venezuelan politics resolve our divergence and our internal conflicts. Enough of foreign powers. It has cost this republic dearly to have to face the consequences of fascism, of extremism in our country.
Well, part of the comment from Delcy Rodríguez, the one they call the interim president, that's the position they've given her in that sense. Well, Chavismo continues within Venezuela and continues with a clearly critical stance toward the United States. Specifically, without having to mention the United States or Trump so directly, but they talk about foreigners, they talk about, well, quite a bit about orders, in this case from whom? Well, from Washington, obviously there will be. On one hand, Delcy Rodríguez sends critical messages toward the United States, but on the other hand, she reaches agreements. On the other hand, they talk about how close she was to Maduro's own rise to power. Ultimately, this unprecedented moment in Venezuela no longer operates under Chavismo's control. Only this time with another figure, in this case, Rodríguez herself, the Rodríguez siblings. In any case, within these movements, from what is being observed over there in Venezuela, Our image just froze here, but within what is being observed in. Not only in Venezuela, but also within the Chavista leadership, it is observed that there is a division in which it is said that we will be seeing. Well, not just a split, but also that they don't want to follow orders, releasing the prisoners, apparently by Diosdado Cabello. The first shipment of oil also left Venezuela for the United States under this new agreement, according to reports. Is this movement? This situation also shows that there is a whole operation in which, on one side, he does show himself internally. For the tougher groups, let's say, he presents himself, well, as intense. Let's say something like there's no deal with the United States, when in reality, well, it's something very different. Reports also confirm this from several civil organizations, including Civil. The civil organization Foro Penal analyzes and confirms that there would be 80 new releases, meaning that there would already be 80 people who have supposedly been released. Let's see who else confirms it, but at least Foro Penal has been very attentive to this situation, and Foro Penal says that there would be 80 people released, supposedly. We'll need to wait for more details and hear from the families. But there are still a lot of people missing, right? There are still a lot of people who haven't been released up to this point, the political prisoners in that region of the world. Meanwhile, I also want to tell you that right now, UNRWA over in Israel has reported an arson attack. This, they say, at the remains of the UNRWA headquarters in Jerusalem. Also, on the other hand, the commander of SEDCOM and the chief of the Israeli army have had several private and group meetings. They say this could be related to some move against Iran. Today may be when the biggest Middle East challenge is happening. The commander of the United States Central Command, Admiral Brad Cooper, and the Chief of Staff of Israel, Eyal Samir. He has maintained throughout today and yesterday an extensive, a long meeting in which these military officials have been speaking privately, detailing that the Israeli army has already confirmed this meeting today. There is an image, which is this one, where you can see the two military groups. Both Israel and the United States state that this commitment serves as an expression of the relationship between the two commanders and constitutes a step to enhance the strategic defense relationship. Another issue that is also part of what is being anticipated is to see the United States military exercises, which in theory would be starting today in the Middle East. They call these prep exercises. Meanwhile, the Middle East is closely watching how the protests are escalating inside Iran. By the way, there's already a warning, another one, once again. Aren't the warnings continuing inside Iran? They are assuring that any attack, even a precision strike, will be met with war, they say. The United States aircraft carrier has arrived in the Middle East and is already near Iran. Well, we've been talking about this. There's an aircraft carrier. The judge is Abraham Lincoln, who is operating in this region of the world, according to information from Israelis. Have tensions between the United States and Iran been at their highest? We have a great force heading toward Iran. I would prefer nothing to happen, but we are watching them very closely, they had said. Well, in this sense, there is a possible or potential conflict at any moment. The strike team, made up of destroyers, F-35 fighter jets, and other electronic warfare aircraft, has been observed in the operation. Near the Gulf of Oman, they could possibly even go as far as the Persian Gulf, meaning get closer and move even deeper into this whole region. So be careful with that as well. Look, here it is. We're getting an image. This image doesn't have sound. You might remember it, but it's a very well-known bridge. This is over there in San Francisco. It's called the Golden Gate. They say that for many years this bridge has been part of, let's say, a very curious phenomenon. Every year, many people would go there and take their own lives. They say it was 15, 20, even 30 per week. Just imagine, well, there's a documentary that's, by the way, very hidden, let's say very forbidden. The one where they left many cameras trying to find out who the people were who took their own lives. They filmed the jump and then identified who they were. The documentary was tough and heavily criticized. The Golden Gate has been a symbol of engineering since 1937, but it also became one of the places with the most suicides in the world. There have been 2,000 documented people who have jumped and lost their lives. Just imagine the number, not in 2006. The figures are already alarming. Victims' families, including Paul Mahler, spoke out and called for effective solutions. Stainless steel nets were installed. Many changes were made. Let's say no. This was with the idea that if someone jumped, well, they would end up hanging there, right? And indeed, after a series of nets were installed, that can't be seen from afar. These nets have been saving many people's lives. The number of deaths dropped from an average of dozens of fatalities to only 4 in 2025. So, the number of deaths dropped significantly thanks to this net. It's an interesting topic, no? Most of those who have been discouraged, for example, because this has been around since the 70s, the late 70s, back then, specialists and people would be stationed around to look for people who had problems, who were about to jump, and convince them not to do it. Those who were dissuaded from taking their own lives at the Golden Gate were shown over the years to still be alive. We knew that, well, it was a moment of desperation. But since they did it, if they have done, yes, if they have done it, put up some protections. Also on other matters, quickly. Well, we're still keeping an eye on how things are. How are the updates on this storm? A winter storm that has already caused many power outages. A moment ago, it was at 1,003,000. Let's refresh the page to check the new amount. Due to the power outage, it's now below 1 million. 934,000, already a large number of customers as of today. The most outages are in Tennessee, Mississippi, and Louisiana. After that, Texas and Georgia follow, with the highest number of outages. Well, it's still a lot anyway, 934,000 customers. Mainly, Tennessee is the one with the biggest problem, and that's how it's been since this morning. A huge problem in Tennessee. Right now with this situation, let's stay alert to see what happens next. Let's quickly review the comments before we leave for the night. We've already talked a lot. Thanks for being here. Cheers, Lily Karim Brezeka. How have you been? And thank you for your update. Thank you very much. Greetings. Hope you're all doing well. It's okay. It's okay. This is really something. And now the big question that obviously we won't know, but is what could this general have revealed to the United States? What information could he have given? It'll be interesting, right? He says that's just Delcy's act. She has to say it or it's just for show. I agree with you, Boston. I think it's just to throw people off, not for, well, the groups from a very anti-American sector there in Venezuela, groups close to the regime. Obviously, well, I think that kind of message appeals to them, kind of throws them off a bit, but I also think that, well, from what is known, from the information that has been revealed, there have been negotiations with Delcy for some time now. In fact, even with Diosdado, there were negotiations, but apparently she was the most flexible one. And now, well, she wants to give an image of toughness, right? With the United States, and obviously it's not believable. You're absolutely right about that. Cheers, Boston. How has Gabriel Dario been? What's up? Sangurula says this. The pirates of the Caribbean negotiate by threatening their victims with weapons. He then asks Salud how he's been. What do you mean, my friend? Nova says. He says, people who take their own lives should rather donate their organs. That way they would give a chance to live to those who actually want to go on. Nova says. How has Nova been? Hello, Ebreseka. How are you? Greetings, Elisea. What's up? Well, one says, I don't think they would fool him. I don't think they would fool him. And they stole his information, really? Do you think they stole his information? Do you think it wasn't a betrayal? Maybe? Well, we'll see what happens later on. Let's see what they say. Let's see what information comes out. In the meantime, the point is that the information supposedly came from there. That's what they're accusing him of. At least we'll be keeping an eye on that to see what other information they have. Have an excellent weekend. We'll see each other again later. Take care. See you soon.